record. All right, everybody. So Tammy here, joined by Dan Colson. Dan, do you prefer Dan or Daniel? I guess I've never actually asked you.
Either way, I have people call me Danny, Daniel, Dan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I tend to shorten people's names, and I have to be aware that I should ask.
nice.
But Dan, you're with Next Investments, and you're going to share with us today about how to prepare a business for a sale, right?
Right. Yeah.
So essentially kind of the basics on creating an exit strategy.
Yeah, so I started selling real estate, and then I kind of got into my first business acquisition was for myself, and it was a lot of fun. And then I found another company for another person and did that, and I just really started falling in love with business acquisitions and figuring out how business can be ran better. I've always liked things like Lean Six Sigma and even going through P&L sheets and just figuring out where I can better improve things. So that's kind of where I'm starting to, I just started it. I was in real estate. Now I'm just kind of switching into this role, and that's what I'm doing in biz to biz now. So it's pretty new, but I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to you, and I'll probably ask questions as we go, but I'm super interested in this topic. So
awesome.
Go for it.
All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Awesome. And get this up. And let's see, where's my PowerPoint? There we go. I think that's how you do it, huh? Get it into a
slideshow. Go to slideshow.
Slide. Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
View into slideshow. Where did you
nope,
said
slideshow up on the top there. It says animation slideshow review. Animation. Go to slideshow.
Oh, nice slideshow review. Oh, there we go. Nice. Start from beginning. There we go. All right.
We got it.
Awesome. Let me move this over to this side. Awesome. So I wanted to give a real quick, this is kind of where I see a lot of people are hesitant or not well prepared, is they go in and they start a business and it's great and they do well, or maybe they struggle a little bit, but it always seems to be last on their mind is, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do with that business now? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to go ahead and just kind of let it fall away and just live off what it made you as a savings? Do you need to have that capital event where you actually sell the business and get money from it for retirement? And a lot of people just don't have that all prepared at the time. They go in and it's a lot running a business, and it's very difficult to prepare for that end and keeping that end in mind. I just want to go through a few things why you might want to think about selling. How do you value your business, which is a very important thing. 3 is planning, getting that ready to go, and then preparing. I like to tell folks that if you're thinking about selling your house, or not your house, but your business, 2 to 3 years out, because the very first thing someone's going to want to do when they come buy your business is they want 3 years, the last 3 years of P&L and the last 3 years of taxes. That's standard. Any bank or any investor is going to want to see. So you got to start making sure that business is being ran to sell at least 3 years out. And if you're selling for more, it's going to be 4 to 5 years, depending on how the bank wants to evaluate the business.
Okay.
So right here, let me move this screen down just a little bit. So what I always tell people is run your business like you're always looking for a buyer. And I encourage people to get in the mindset of today is always a good day to sell. If someone came up to you and said, hey, I want to potentially talk about buying your business. And it always strikes me when I go ask somebody, I'm like, hey, would you ever think about selling your business? It's no, never, ever, ever, ever. Well, right there, it's not true. You got to do something with it, because you can't do this forever. And I got that underlined right there. You can't do this forever. You're going to have to pass it off to family. You're going to have to maybe sell it to an employee. You're going to have to retire somehow, because it's just not going to happen. And it's always good to be able to have that conversation. So if someone's coming up to you asking, hey, what would you want for this? It doesn't hurt to have the conversation, to maybe talk to somebody about a potential sale or being in that mindset, because it could pay off really well. And why do I say today is always a good day to sell? Because when you sell a business, you have a large capital event to use for other things. You buy back your time. You're not working on the business. You now made that sell that business to someone else, and you made your money back in a really good return on investment. Also, good market timing. It's hard to sell when things aren't going well, but I find that people don't want to have the sell conversation when things are going well. Oh, this is just a cash cow. I don't want to do anything. I want to have it. Like gyms and restaurants, when we go through COVID, gyms and restaurants came on the MLS like crazy. Everyone wanted to sell the restaurant in their gym. And it's very difficult to now all of a sudden want to sell when you're in a bad market.
Right.
You're going to sell for pennies on the dollar. So always be ready, ready to go all the time. Always be ready for the next step in your life. And it's just really important to be able to do that, and it makes emergencies less of an emergency. So it's just a really good thing to have. I want to go through real quick valuing your business. A lot of people just kind of get hung up, and I think for the most reason people don't want to have the conversation because they're scared. They're scared they're going to take advantage of. Someone's going to come up and say, hey, I want to buy your business. And they say, no, not to necessarily stop it or not to have a great capital event, but because they're a little nervous that, hey, what's this person's game? Do they want to take advantage of me? And when you're prepared with a number in your head, it makes that conversation a lot easier. So this is just a real basic formula. Obviously, there can be all sorts of different ways you can actually do it. But from what I use basically the value is, you see that net times 2.5.
Yep.
That 2.5 is called your multiplier. So it's whatever money you bring into the business net. That's minus expenses after you've paid all your people. What does it bring in for the owner? Then you multiply it by a 2.5 is what I like to look for businesses for. I've seen that multiplier as high as 5, and depending what industry you're in, I could even see it being 10. But for the most part, like a retail space or a small business, like under 500,000, the multiplier is probably about a 2.5. And then you add on top of that real estate and assets. Assets being machinery, copyrights and patents, cash on hands, contracts that you have that are considered an asset to the company.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, because there's so many businesses right now that are online based, right? So how do you quantify, or what about the assets that are more intangible?
Yeah.
And what in the real estate? Go ahead.
So an asset can be a website based on what kind of traffic that you're getting and what kind of sales and everything. You can definitely make the website an asset. However, banks won't loan on website as an asset, whereas a lot of us can understand that, hey, this website's worth $10,000, or this website based on how many people push through is definitely worth $130,000, but it's very difficult for a bank to do it. So when I talk about valuing their business, it is a lot from a banking standpoint, because a lot of people are going to need a loan to do it. So yes, the website is very important to have, and it is an asset, but it's going to be something more based on you, based on traffic and your understanding of that website. For the most part, if it is a strictly online business with zero real estate and zero real assets besides the website, because keep in mind, the website and the different programs running that website can also be liabilities, because you're having to pay out for that retargeting program. You're having to pay out for maybe that shopping cart program and those other ones. So those are also liabilities that come with it. So you're basically, if it comes to that, you're going to mainly rely on that net times multiplier. So whatever that multiplier is. So say it's a Shopify store, which people are selling. You can go to the Shopify website, and they actually sell Shopify stores. And you'll see one that says, hey, I'm cash flowing $3,000 a month. I want this amount of money. So if they're cash flowing $3,000 a month, what you could do to make sure it's a fair deal is you take that 3,000, you multiply it by 12, and then you multiply it by your multiplier. So that net is over a full year, 12 months. So 3,000 times 12, $36,000 a year times your multiplier of 2.5. And what that means, just basic math, is you expect to get your return on investment in 2.5 years. After that, you've paid yourself back what you bought the business for, and everything on top of that is now pure in the black for you. You're ready and you're making money.
Okay.
So that's the main reasoning behind that.
Okay.
So as a business owner, there's ways to make your business more valuable. The very first one I always tell people is make yourself redundant. And that's take yourself out of your business as fast as possible. A lot of companies that I'll go into, they're like, I want to sell my business, I'm ready to go to it, and it's maybe it's a mechanic shop, and the owner is the primary mechanic. That makes your business worth far less. Now you could say, hey, I got the tools, I got this, I got this. The problem is we're looking now for a very specific buyer, a buyer that has your skills and come in and just take over. Now let's compare that to a business where you're running it, but you're not a mechanic. You have the mechanics a team, a 4-person team, and all the tools in the building, but you're mainly sitting back running it. That business is far more valuable than the owner, the owner that's working there. So taking yourself out of the business as fast as possible. And I always encourage people, once you start getting that, start with the jobs you don't like, and start hiring those out. Maybe you don't like sales. If you're selling a product, hire an outside sales person that's going to go ahead and make those cold calls and sell your product for you, and you're mainly working on building the product. And then maybe after a while you no longer want to build that product, so now you hire someone to build it, and now you take more of a visionary role. So then you have the builder and the salesman. Now every step that business is getting more and more valuable, because someone can now step in and make money.
Okay.
The next thing is maximize profits. A lot of people are like, well, obviously, if I knew how to do that, I would do that. And what I mean by maximize profits is don't take off so much write-offs for taxes. As business owners, this is something we do because we don't want to pay taxes. So we take as many write-offs as possible, and they're all very legal. They're all very okay to do. We're not cheating anybody. We're not cheating the government. They're very great things to do. However, the more write-offs you take, those write-offs are showing that you made less because you're not wanting to pay taxes. The problem is now when you go to show those to a potential buyer, they see that number as, oh, you make very little. So those 2 or 3 years that you're wanting to ready to go ahead and sell the business, it might make more sense to go ahead and not take so many write-offs. Yes, pay a little more in taxes, but that capital event that you have will be much greater for you in the future. So just getting people to see that, hey, you might not want to be taking off so many tax write-offs. Because I see it all the time. Like someone will give a P&L statement and they'll say, hey, you can get all this stuff back because I just take all these write-offs. But it is very difficult for a potential buyer, and many of them not really good with a P&L statement, especially if we're talking about a business under 500K. They're not immediately going to be able to look at that P&L and say, okay, I can deduct or bring this back, bring this back, bring this back. It makes more sense as the business owner to put that in there. And so it makes the sell that much easier and the potential buyer that much more confident in your numbers. Okay. Make a decision about your assets. Are you going to be including the assets or leasing the assets? This is a really important thing to do. Say you own the building and the business. It might make sense to make that building an LLC and make the business a separate LLC or corporation, and then sell the business, but keep the building and rent back the building to the person that bought your business. So now you still have a little bit of income coming in. You have that capital event of selling your business, but you still have an income of having that building. Maybe you have a patent and you lease that patent right, those patent rights out to the company. But really have that in mind of what you want to do. Do you want to sell everything and have a major capital event, or do you want to have some of these things where you'll have some passive income still coming in after the sell? And then cash on hand. Don't rob your own business. A lot of businesses, when they come for sale, that I see all the time, they're selling the business and they're going to take all the cash out of it. You're basically now leaving the business cash poor. What I always recommend is have a business account or have something where that business still has cash on hand, but write it maybe into the price somehow. But don't just sell the business, then drain all the money and take all the money and run. The business still needs its lifeblood. Money is the lifeblood, and it still needs accounts, because you still have accounts receivable, accounts payable. You still need an account that's running those while you're selling the business. So, and it's something that always bothers me is that, hey, I'm going to sell you this business, then I'm going to take all the cash out of the register, out of this, and run. And it's just not something that you can really look into in setting up that next business owner for success. And we really do want to do that. That next business owner is going to take that business and run it successfully. Not all business owners just want to sell it, have their capital event, and run. It's kind of nice to be able to see that business leave a legacy and watch that business grow with maybe a new owner, because you started it, but someone else can then take it to the next level and keep it going. And it can be fun to watch. So I say, don't rob your own business. Also, that goes into like till tapping, which I see constantly. Don't take money out of your till, account for everything, run it like you're ready to sell it. It's an actual professional business. Don't run everything through yourself. One of the things many lawyers will tell you, don't run it as it's a sole proprietor. Obviously, sole proprietor is one of the most dangerous ways to run a business. Get an LLC, a corporation, talk to a CPA, a lawyer, which one works best for you.
Okay.
Why most businesses aren't valuable. It goes right back into the previous slide. The owner is the business. It's like an artist trying to sell their art business. Once they leave, the business is dead. The business has to be able to survive without the owner. That's why I always recommend start getting yourself out of the business as much as possible, because that's the reason we want to be business owners, is we want to have that passive income. We want to run a business, but have it make money for us and not have to be constantly working in the business. The net income isn't there. Again, that just goes into not your P&L sheets aren't right, and you just can't account for net income. You try to go to the market and you have a negative net income, which I can't believe, and I see it all the time, that you get a P&L statement that has a negative net income and they're wanting to sell it, and you're kind of like, what's going on? Like, oh, well, you read the P&L, you won't have to do this, won't have to do this. Like, then why not do it yourself? Why not set up that P&L so it's very easy to read, that I know I can make money? Why have a negative net income, which I think is absurd to have when you're getting ready to sell. Selling based on potential. I absolutely hate this one. And it'll be done in the marketing. They're like, oh, this business, you could grow it even further than I did by targeting this industry and this industry. That's why I'm selling it for this much. That's like basically telling somebody, oh, I failed at this, but you'll do better. You'll do better. So pay me like I did it. And it's just absurd to be able to say, oh, the potential's there, so you're going to pay me for that potential, because I'm very big on, you pay me for what I've made this business. So when I go to sell it, I've made it this. You can go make it whatever you want, but this is what I'm going to get paid for. And that's just something that I really believe in, is selling based on potentials. And you see it. You'll see landlords sell their multi-unit complex for far and above what rents coming in actually are. And they're like, hey, you could raise rents. Well, it's really because they don't want to raise the rents on the tenants, but they'll have you come in and do it for them. And if you're the type of landlord that has no problem doing that and can make that happen, then no problem. But I don't like it most of the time. No real assets. It's difficult to get a loan if you're trying to get a loan for even over $250,000 and there's no real tangible assets like equipment, building, patents, copyrights, contracts, and that kind of stuff. It's very difficult to get a loan. It is possible. It'll just require sometimes not just 3 years back, but the bank might want to go 5 years back. You might want to look 5 years back, just a little further back if there's no real tangible assets. So sometimes it's good, if you're going to be a business owner, go ahead and buy some real estate if you can. It doesn't have to be anything big, but maybe you want to buy if you're an insurance salesman, maybe you want to just buy a condo in a commercial condo complex, just so you can have that extra equity in an actual tangible asset. And then the biggest one, selling because the industry got hard. Selling in a down market is not great to do. The best time to sell is when things are good, when you have a lot of contracts, when you got stuff going, your company's worth more. Sell on a high note. Don't sell because, oh crap, I got to get out of this now because I don't know what I'm going to do. Now you're selling for pennies on the dollar. So not a great place to be in. The thing is, you need to have a plan. Whatever you do, just have a plan. What do you want to do with this? Is it something you see pass into your kids? Is it something you want to maybe pass to an employee? Do you want to dissolve it at a certain point? There's no shame in that. Maybe the company's gone its course and you're like, at the end, I'm going to dissolve it, sell the parts, sell the building, and then just collect that way because I got a good nest egg. I invested in a 401k, or I had a Roth IRA while I was doing the business. So I'm just going to dissolve it. Or do you want to sell it? Is that sell going to retire you? Is it going to go ahead and get you to that next investment? Or is that sell going to make your business stronger? Maybe you don't sell the whole business, but you sell half the business and bring in a partner that you feel will take the business even further ahead. So there's all sorts of things. You just got to have a plan. Just running that business day to day, that business is basically treating you as an employee, even though you're the owner. If you're the owner employee, it's very difficult to stand back and work on the business, get that vision, and have that plan if you're constantly having to work and do everything, which is where you'll be at the beginning. but don't stay there. Start backing away, even if you need to get some help with someone teaching you how to do it. Start backing away and make that business valuable and have it work for you instead of working for it.
Mhm.
The emergency plan. This is what a lot of people sell on. They sell on that emergency. But if you always run that business as though you're trying to sell it, emergencies do in fact become less of an emergency because say you're injured or you get hurt or a key employee passes away or quits all of a sudden. If you've already ran it to be able to sell it, chances are you've already made those redundancies. The business doesn't absolutely need you. It can run on its own. Say you get hurt hiking or something, you still have a business that's working because you took yourself out of it. You have a manager, you have those things in place, and that business can support you and do something. So, but if you never took the time to do that and you do get injured, now the business suffers and it just, those emergencies compound, and then you're left at a fire cell, try and get rid of it just to get something to help you out. And it really can make sure you have that plan to plan for an emergency.
Right.
And then obviously preparation. I say to have preparation, always have your current P&Ls ready to go. Just know your numbers, know what you brought in last month, know what expenses you had last quarter, know what you increased in sales this quarter compared to last quarter or this month compared to last year. If you just have those easy numbers, when someone comes up to you and starts that conversation, you don't have to be fearful. You don't have to stop and say, oh, what's your game? You now know, you're confident in your numbers. You know what this business has. You can sit down and say, yeah, talk to me. What do you have? What would you like to offer me? What would you need to see? And you have it all in hand. I always have a value in mind. Know that, hey, this is what I want for my business. And now most people say $1 million. It's always $1 million. Hey, what do you want for your business? I want $1 million, even though it brings in $10,000 a year. Everybody seems to always want $1 million, but have a for real value in your hand. Know that my building's worth this, my assets are worth this, and I want a three time multiplier on this, and have that number. It's a good thing. Just know, and it makes you more confident as a business owner to watch that number grow as your business grows. And then obviously know your balance sheets, know what you got in the bank. Know what the value of your assets, your equipment, that kind of stuff. Know your balance sheet, and just have be ready with it. And I have that saying down there: be ready when opportunity comes. Luck is when time and preparation or time when preparation and opportunity basically meet. That you put in all the work, now the opportunity comes. What you'd hate to have is the opportunity come, a buyer, this great capital event, and you can't talk it and you have no idea, and you got to go back, you got to go get numbers from your CPA, you got to go do this. Why not have it so when that opportunity arises, it can move forward, and that potential buyer can feel confident that you know what you're doing.
Right.
My main takeaways is this is never shy away from the conversation about price. Always be willing to talk about it, even if you're a landlord and you own a multifamily unit or this, even if you don't plan to sell. It's good practice. Like if you know you want to go out and participate in an interview, and I do know some people that do this. They have a job, but they go do interviews because they like to keep up their skills. They like to, they have certifications. They like to keep that skill. So even if you're not looking to sell, you maybe have a plan to sell 5 years down the road, at least be willing to have the conversation and see what the other person talks. And it makes you a better person, makes you more confident. Always know your numbers. This is something I really like to have. I always know what I got in the bank. I always know what I would want from my business, and I can talk why I want that. And then have that plan. What do you want to do? And I always understand plans change. Maybe you do plan to pass off on the kids, but the kids, they grow up and they decide they don't want to be in that industry. So maybe now the plan does have to change to maybe selling it to an employee, or maybe you just got to put it on the open market. But then when you go on the open market, and are confident that these are the numbers and I can talk them, and let's go ahead and make a plan to go ahead and sell it. So that's about it. That was a really quick one, really quick rundown, but I love to have this conversation with people. If anybody ever wants some assistance or wants me to take a look at the business or kind of give some consultation or some advice, it's a really powerful thing to have and to know and to be prepared for, because that's eventually what we all want in life. We want to have that capital event. We've worked hard for these businesses, and it's nice to be able to know that they are valuable and you can make a profit off them.
Yeah, I have questions about the valuing still a little bit,
Yeah.
and I think it's because of the circles I run in a little bit, Dan.
Yeah.
Because I know so many people who are building an online business, and it's around, let's say, membership based business. You know
Mhm.
how that's kind of a thing right now, especially with like, or even affiliate marketing plus
Oh
membership
yeah.
based businesses.
Yep.
Those are, so would those affiliates and like those memberships be technically contracts, and then would that be part of your assets?
So it depends on how they're running their affiliate program. Now, affiliate program, I feel, I don't know how you feel about this, but it's more an influencer base. So that
Yeah.
person to be affiliate marketer has to be, or affiliate marketer has to be an influencer. So
Yeah.
I feel that's no different than if you're an artist selling your art. That's you in that business. Now, unless you could find a way to make sure the brand is not you, but the brand is an actual business that's marketable and sellable, then if it's you, if Daniel Colson has 28,000 followers and I'm affiliate marketing, that's a hard business to sell. But if Daniel Colson Incorporated has 28,000 followers or 100,000 followers and it's doing affiliate marketing, that's going to be a lot easier to sell. Again, it's going to go back into that asset base. Now it's not only a website, but it is your follower base. It is your content creation team. It's a lot of other stuff. So it does feed into this formula still. It just gets a little more complex. You really got to feel like you understand that business, but it does run this same thing. A website is an asset. A followership on Instagram is an asset. It just depends on, is that asset to a name of an individual or to a brand that is sellable and can move. So that's where you'd want to look at it mainly.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I see it all the time. It's really cool. I like to go on Shopify and see the Shopify stores for sale and that kind of stuff. But I mean, then you go on things like Pinterest. It's very influencer based on the individual, not necessarily a business. So I always say get the brand off of you if you want to make it something that you can sell in the future. Or maybe you never do. I mean, you could be, maybe you stay an influencer from the age of 20 all the way into your 80s. You're still an influencer. Maybe you, because it's not too bad. I mean, you just got to appear on camera, have the right stuff, have say the right things that the people that follow you like. It's something you could do for a good long time and not necessarily have to retire or have it be exhausting in any way or physically exhausting. It might get mentally exhausting, but it might be something you could run for a good long time.
Interesting. Sweet. I can see where this would be super valuable for some of our members, since so many of them are small business based, and what are they going to do next, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that's a conversation I have a lot with people is when they come up with the plan, they're like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. Well, like, do you have the capability to have someone else do it? And a lot of times, again, they'll be like, oh, I don't have the money for it. But you kind of do have the money for it if you planned it right and if you were willing to make that investment. But the easy answer is, oh, I don't have enough money for it, I'll do it myself. Or the answer is, it's just better if I do it myself because I know exactly what I want. But if you keep yourself in that role, 20 years can fly by and you're still doing it yourself. It's a different game when you get to this, where you now, instead of being that sole proprietor, you have to be a leader. And even when I figured that out, that, oh, I could have all the skills I want, I could be that great real estate agent, I could be that great dog care person, or I could be that great, I could do all that stuff, but I had to tell myself and make that shift, like, no, I want to go be a leader. I want to be the one that mentors employees, that mentors my managers, because that's where I want to be, because I want to hire people to be able to do that. I don't want to go do it myself. It is a lot of heartbreak. Sometimes people don't do it the way you want it done, and sometimes they even fail. And sometimes but if you consistently do that, if you do the hard work of that, just like this would be hard work, being a sole proprietor, it's the same things. Being a sole proprietor of the hard work, or being the leader hard work. They're both very difficult, but if you hang your hat on this one, the payoffs are that much greater in the end. Whereas this one, you only have so much time to make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you. This was really great information.
So much. Yeah. Love doing it. But once again, the main takeaways: be willing to have that conversation, know your numbers, and have a plan. It just comes down pretty simple.
All right, sweet. And we're going to make sure to have your contact information below this training too in the Biz University. So if people have questions, they can they can circle back and get a hold of you. And then you're with our Missoula 6 chapter. So
Awesome.
yeah. All right.
Let
Well, thank you
me-
so much again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I love this stuff. And if anyone has any questions, I just love to have these conversations and talk. Power hours and biz, I'm all for them. So yeah, just let me know.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you so
Well, thank
much.
you.